Hi everyone. Now we have the demo by Sriharsha Annadore on how to take still life photography.
Yeah, somebody can So yeah, so I just wanted to start off by saying that the challenges which were given to me, even though everybody is well versed with how to take the picture of a still life, is to use something which is locally available, DIY kind of props, and make sure that you don't spend a ton of money on preparing how to take the still life shot. So there is one more reason why I wanted to emphasize that why still life photos are important, or the way it should be done. So I take the inspiration from yeah, it's okay. If they don't see me, that's fine. Like here. Right. So the inspiration I take from the still life is from the nature photography. Yesterday I was at Eastern Sierras. The picture which you're seeing right now is a place called Lundy Lake. It's close to Mono Lake, and it's a glacier lake. So if you look at it, the inspiration comes from me, the way nature arranges all the colors in the field. So you can see the different color schemes, be it a complementary color scheme or whatever it is. You can see the fall colors bring up a beauty in the nature, right? So, and also you can see that there is a perspective of depth, there's a perspective of size, there's a perspective of bigger than a life experience when you look at the picture like this. So I get inspiration to draw a similar way to arrange my still life. I will start off by saying that there is another benefit to shooting the still life this way, is that the still life elements belong to our household things, everyday usable things, right? So we can pretty much relate to what this still life is in our life. And the second thing is, when you are creating a reference photograph, it's very important to document all the steps which you have taken to get the reference, because this is very important for the copyright protection, your patenting issues, or any of that kind of thing. So every step or the kind of photographs you save is very, very important to take you in a longer run. So I would say turn on your GPS on your phone before you start taking the pictures of the still life. That will give you the location information where the picture was taken. And then when you start arranging the elements of the still life, take multiple pictures on the way. So this will give you the process. So it'll also help you. And I do the same thing with my photography too, where I need to copyright some of my work. So I take the process, I document my journey, I document my GPS coordinates, I document all the test shots which I did. So that way it gives a complete picture of the authenticity for your work. So that's the motivation for today's demo. So let me screen share, cut the screen share from the laptop to the live feed from the phone. So this is also an interactive session. So anytime you want me to stop, the intention is not to tell something new which you didn't know. The intention is to make experiments here today, and then make sure that we all make mistakes, and then we learn it together as a group. So feel free to interrupt me, and then just don't kick me. That's all. So for doing something wrong. So to begin with, I will show you what are the DIY components which I've used. So first of all, this is I think this is being shared right now, right? So they can see this screen?
Yeah. just.
Yeah, okay, where Sriharsh is standing, right? Okay, so first of all, the board which Sriharsh is holding is a 2 feet by 4 feet board, which I got it from Home Depot. So that's the first DIY screen, which is probably about $4 or something like that. So it has two surfaces. One is the pure black, which you can see here. You can put it here, and there's also on the other side a pure white one in case you need a white background for any of your subjects. So, so this is a very handy board. It's very sturdy, and then can takes quite a bit of beating before it gets back. And it's only $4. So that's the first tool that's the first one in my toolbox. So second things would be, you're able to see this one, right? So these are the these are the reflectors and then light blockers, which are $1 each. So these can be used to either block the light or enhance the light. If you use the white one, it gives a reflective. And I have tens of them in my studio, so I use it all the time as a reflector or light modifiers. So these are just $1 each from dollar store or any other Target or any other store. So that's my second tool, which I generally use.
When you're doing by yourself, how do you fix them?
So I have a stand behind it, and they have a clamps. So the clamps sell about $1 each from Home Depot too. So they have a crocodile clamps or something like that. So there is a bar at the back, so I clamp them off. Sometimes I tape it also. So the way I tape it is, so you see a non-flexible craft sheets like this, for example. They come in on different shapes and colors. So they're able to see this one, right? Yeah. Okay. So I have this one. I basically use it for creating color shadows. This is not for illuminating changing the color of the subject itself. If I want to create a shadow, which is probably a bluish shadow, for example, I throw in some light here, and then that reflects on the subject. So this is also $1 each, and I usually carry about 3 or 4 different colors. So depending on which subject I'm shooting, and then which is the complementary color for it. So I'll talk about the complementary color theory in a minute, but I would use the opposite color to enhance some of the shadows or some of the objects which are nearby have the same color. So I have oranges, I have reds and greens and blues. So this is my third tool. So let me put this in the back. Turn on the light. Yeah, I'm trying to get the lights here. So you'll not be able to see this one, I'm guessing, right? Something else is getting broadcasted right now.
You want me to hold it?
Yes. Looks like, oh, it's a delay there. Something is getting delayed. Why is it getting delayed there? Or is it live?
Yeah, in the live, there's usually there's a delay.
Okay.
But you can continue.
Okay, so this is I will turn it on. Yeah.
Yeah, don't watch that.
Oh, I see.
They'll be seeing the zoom.
Okay. So this is the fourth light modifier I use. So let me bring it up here. Thank you. So this one is a portable one. So what it does is that you can change the intensity of the light here. For example, you can make it a very dull one to the bright one. So, and it also changes the color. So it can make it warmer color, for example, like this. Or you can make it a cold color like that. So this is a cold color and this is a warmer color. So when I take multiple pictures, I sometimes take with a colder color, which is bluish dominant one. And the other one, I take it with the warmer color. And then when I use it, I selectively use wherever I want the warmer color. So I will tell you the reason why I take two colors, maybe three colors, different colors in a minute. So, and also it can change the intensity of the light. So you can make it dim, you can make it stronger. And also it can be reflected off. Yeah, I'll give you the skew for this one. And it also works from the direct power supply, and also works from the battery. So it's easy to move around and then take it. It's also used it for portrait photography, for example, person. So maybe Tiffany might be interested in giving gift to her husband.
Definitely. Where did you get that?
So this is from Amazon. I'll share the SKU for this one. Little later.
Great.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Sure. So this is the third one. There it is, the cold side, and so for this one, I need to turn off the light. Yeah. So the fifth, the tool I have for creating thing is it's a simple white sheet, something like this. So it's so sometimes the light is very harsh, and I want it to be harsh because I don't know whether you're able to see it or not. There's a bright reflection on one of the sides of the fruits, or maybe on the silver, right? So sometimes I want it, sometimes I don't want it. So if you don't want any strong reflection off of anything, you just cover this one with the white paper like this. So the strong reflections are gone. So those are the highlights which are usually on the subject. For example, there's a silk cloth here. If you take this off, it shines too much. So, and then the downside of having too much light is that it kills all the information right on the silk cloth. So in that case, especially, you would want to kill it by making it a little dull with this white paper. And you can throw in a couple of papers if you want, even to make it even one, right? So, and I also keep different sizes of this white paper. So get this one. So that it covers differently. So you can now see, I don't know, the phone is not probably able to catch this one. So the highlights are much more controlled right now compared to the bright one. So that's the fourth tool I typically use. So, and then, so the next topic I'm going to talk about is that the angle of photography. Okay, so the angle of photography depends on the subject. So as you saw before, the fall color instantiatas, there's a lake in the front, the fall color foliage in the middle. There's a big hill with the snow on the right side, and the other one which doesn't have any snow. So the angle to which I choose amplifies the subject. So I will explain by giving an example of only one subject right now. So let me and then put one dominant subject here and show you how the yeah. Sometimes I also use small props behind the subject itself to make it stand up. So there are small push pins and that sort of things where they will make it hold. So, and I will show you the contrasting effect by. Need somebody else to hold this one for me. So as you can see right now, I have a small pomegranate, which looks like very, very small if I happen to take it from this angle. So I'm adding one element at a time to the still life. So bear with me and you'll get better when I progress a little bit. more in time. So as you can see, the subject is flattened against the background. So this is the angle called high angle. So which means that whatever you put around it will make this one a circle, because we tend to associate everything with patterns and shapes. So high angle kind of suppresses everything and makes it small. So I'll give you the similar example in the photo I showed you, where the tree line seems to be small because I chose them to be smaller against the white cap mountains. So the same principle applies here. That if I look down on a subject, then the subject looks very, very small. So let me change the angle right now to another one. So hold it by hand. So now you can see that I changed it to a kind of medium angle where I got a little closer to it. I got a little closer to it, and oops. And then I'm looking at as if it has some ice there, and then I'm looking it directly into the eyes of that pomegranate, right? So this gives you a kind of feeling that the pomegranate is really of the same size as what you see in the picture. So if I touch the picture, then my hands and relative size of the pomegranates make sure that it's a live pomegranate, and then it gives a feeling that it's real life size, right? So this is an example of eye-level photography, where you would eye-level presentation where you want the subjects to be as big as it is really. So let me throw in another subject right up here. For example, I have another small piece of garlic in comparison to the pomegranate. Now, if I were to take the high angle, the garlic become inconspicuous. So I wouldn't be using the high angle for the garlic. Now there are three subjects right now. The mind, by Gestalt's theory, associates that they're all together, and then one is bigger than the other three. So other two. So it automatically gives the proper sizing for everything. So this is another angle which mimics whatever the human mind sees. And there is another angle called. Let me see. So if I go to this angle, for example, this one highlights that the pomegranate is really bigger than the life size, right? So if I don't have any other comparing subjects, this looks like a gigantic, ball of pomegranate. So this is called the low angle. So what subjects prefer this kind of thing would be an overarching subject, for example, a vase or something which covers everyone, like puts like an umbrella. So I would use that one to emphasize on the texture, for example. You can see the texture of everything in the low angle. On the flip side, let's say that as a photographer, I'm shooting a whale which is jumping out of water. I would always use a low angle because that makes it look like a gigantic whale. So that's just corollary on the photographic side. So today we'll be using the normal angle as an example for most of the demo, but I will also show the low angle and high angle, how the whole thing comes out at the end. So you may decide which one you want at the end. So is there any question for me or anything comment till now, or should I proceed further?
I have a question.
Okay.
So like little before you said like you put the different those flexible
Yes.
construction paper to reflect the light. how do you decide what color light you
Yes.
want to reflect on which?
Okay, so it'll come in probably about 5 minutes as to why do I want to create a shadow and what color to give the shadow, right? So I will explain it right away. So why wait for a long time? So as Janki is holding the light on this side, I will go a little closer. This is an eye level angle. As you can see, there's a shadow which is casted in. So why is it important to have a shadow? Is that it's called a figure to ground relationship. That means that the value of your subject at the bottommost before it touches the ground is the same value of the shadow before it touches the subject. So there is a seamless transition between the foreground and the shadow and the bottommost part of the subject. So that's very important. Otherwise, it'll happen such a way that subject is not floating in the air. So if you overdo it, you're smacking against the ground. If you underdo it, it'll take away into the air. So it's extremely important to pay attention to the shadow rather than the subject itself. Subject, you can make mistakes in at least my photography. I can't make a mistake on the shadow. So it's a value change from the foreground shadow to the subject that has to be very much equal. So now, having said that, somebody else next to it will influence what is the color of the shadow. And that's also very important because different color ranges have different values. So it has to be seamless to them, right? And colorful shadows are always catching because there's a complementary color theory behind it. So let's say that I have an orange, which is sitting here. If I cast a blue shadow, it kind of pops up. So the other reason why I want to color my shadow would also be to make sure that this is a three-dimensional object, right? So right now, as you can see, the shadow value is changing from here, which is very light, to all the way dark, and dark most is right where it touches the subject, right? So I'll put the color for the shadow right now, and that shows if there is another element for it. This is a good example. So if this is another example where this light is now casting a little bit on the shadow. So how do I amplify this effect now, right? So now I will throw in a paper which looks like this into the side so that the shadow gets amplified. So it's a subtle effect. You can see that the bottom of this one now gets a red, which is popping that pomegranate up, right? So yeah, there's a question. There's a question. They're not able to hear.
So, Sriharsha, I have a question.
Yes, please.
So, how to focus on a focal point when using multiple objects?
Yes. Okay. So this will come as I add more subjects into the picture. So I'm a little behind that question right now. Is that okay? I answer it in a little while.
Yeah, fine,
Okay.
fine.
Okay. All right. So that's how you would create a shadow which is the color which you want. Right. So if you observe it here, I don't know, Janki might be able to. Yeah. So this color now changed. So, but I will not put this one inside the prop, but I'll note the color, how it came out. So I take a picture and note that color. And later on, oh, that's looking great. Yeah. And later on, I'll make sure that color is added at the end. Yeah. So these are all preparatory kind of pictures, which you would keep as a log to give you an authenticity that you created it from the scratch, right? You didn't borrow this image from somebody else's, right? Yeah. So documenting all the way that you had a paper like this, you created this way, use authenticity. If let's say that your painting sells for $1,000, somebody might copy it, then you can sue them because they don't have this process, right? So, so on the other hand, for example, if I have a strong reflecting subject, which needs to be, let me see if I have an orange one. That is not an orange one. Hello, line. So let me put this one. So I picked up another subject, which is right. So as you can see, the shadow is still darker, right? So I need to pop this subject out of the background or out of the ground, right? So now I throw in a complementary color. Now get to see how the shadow now of this subject changes. So it's very slight, very subtle, but you get that if you happen to add more and more subjects into the picture, and then that will start creating a little bit more shadows. So you can control the direction, you can control the intensity. That's your choice. That's artistic, expression, right? So you may want to have, let's say, I don't want to have blue for all of my shadows, so I only want it from the back. So keep also in mind that if you put information in the shadow, the subject gets pulled forward. So what I mean is that, let's say if I have two subjects here. So if I put a cold shadow for the front subject, it pushes it close to this subject. If I put a warm shadow for this guy, it pulls it forward. So I have to always do a proper shadowing for this also.
Can you show us?
Yes. So it's a very subtle information. So if I make this one blue, shadow blue, it pushes even further out. Okay, so the blue and then less of information, the less of contrast, pushes it backwards to the wall, and then the warmer and then the more saturated and more detailed shadows will pull forward. So I'll show you the example. So typically, this is what happens with the pomegranate, right? So it's this shadow is now, I will not be having the shadow like this, so it's a black background. So if you construct your image finally, eventually, and see this one, the blue layer right there pushes it back. So just, I'll give an analogy on the landscape photography side. You're seeing that there are beautiful fall foliage in the front, the first image which I showed you. And as you go further, the hills get bluish, and also because of the haze, atmosphere, everything. So your mind calculates that the hills must be really far out. And I'm seeing yellows and reds and oranges in the front, which means that they should be really very close to you. So similar theory also happens here, that whenever I arrange things, I will make sure that the shadows are getting lighter and less contrasty as it goes backwards. And then I'll make sure that the front one probably gets a warmer shadow like this. Right. So the moment I put a warmer shadow here, for example, to show you, it pulls it forward, and I add more contrast to the subject, and I add more detail to the subject. So a detail contrast makes sure that subject is pulled forward, and then the cold temperatures and then less detail pushes it back. So that creates a push and pull. That's kind of a 3D image with you. And I use this technique in Photoshop all the time. So in Photoshop, I can paint the way I want it. But before I paint it, I analyze artists like you, how they have done it, how they have, meticulously put details in the subject. And then I try to copy the way the shadows are created in the nature, right? So that's my first inspiration. So nature creates perfect shadows, and the colors are great inspiration. So if you keep watching it, then the still life become very easy. So now comes to to Anand's question, that how do you start putting more things into the mix, right? So
Yes.
So now, before I answer that one, there's another question: is that where do you put your perspective horizon, right? So I will show you an example there. Oh, gosh. Okay, so if you were to take a picture, for example, like this, okay, see the transition from the table, which is a flat object here, meets this background, which is black, right? So it just for this example, I choose the black background so that you want me to get another light.
No, I want you just to see the black.
Yeah. Okay. I can turn on the light if you want. I'll come to this slide in a minute. So It helps to see better. Is it okay to see better with this one? No? It's okay? Okay, no need.
Closer, you can
So
still hear.
you can see the black background, right? Are they able to see? Oh, this one, right?
You don't need that 94 or something.
Oh, I'll
You
cover
don't
this
need
up.
that.
Yeah, you don't need that anymore. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that looks great. So people on the Zoom, you can hear me, right?
Yes,
Okay,
Sriharsha.
great. So now you can see that because of the angle which I tilted, my background transition to the foreground transition is somewhere here, which is middle of the frame, right? So let's say I drop this one even lower. So this is one of the composition technique where everything, you can see that the rectangle in the foreground, okay, has a converging line, even though this is parallel, this one like this, right? So this is the converging plane to which the background meets the foreground, right? So this is the middle of the frame. So as I explained earlier, the downside with having a horizon line right in the middle of the frame is that it gives a drawback. So that it gives a two-frame feeling, okay? So the background is different and the foreground is different. So it doesn't unison the feeling that it's all one subject. The upside of having a cut frame like this, for example, is that you really have a horizon. You're painting a landscape, right? You really want to create that horizon feel. Then you need to put either on little bit lower than horizon or right the middle, the horizon right at the middle. So for still life, when I'm doing a product photography, for example, fashion bags, toys, or whatever it is, I tend to avoid the middle one because it creates kind of a split frame. So split frame kind of throws people off that there are two different objects. So I'll show you another one. Do we have time?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is 1/3 rule which I was talking about a little earlier. Okay. So now observe this one that I put the line at 1/3 from the top, from the bottom, and then 2/3 from the top. Now, why would it be helpful, for example, in the sense that you have subjects which are of different heights, right? So it helps you to balance out the taller one and the shorter one. And also while also you're looking at the eye level of every subject, right? So let me pull up another subject which is probably taller. Yeah, plant or Ganesha, or something which is a little taller. I might have. Yeah, this will work for now. Yeah. So. Okay, so now I have a opportunity to put the taller one. Yeah. No. So this gives me an opportunity to put the subjects which are different heights. I would use a caution to use a whole lot of different heights of subject because the viewer's eye will start moving all over the place. Okay, so when I do the product photography or we create references for still life, I tend not to use varying height subjects which are completely abnormal. Okay, I don't use a small garlic here with a tall plant, for example. I would rather use a braid of garlic, for example, a braid of garlic which is probably braided very well, or onion, which is kind of different perspective, and then start building up on top of that. So it's up to your taste. I'm not saying that should not be done, but that's just the way I think about it. Okay, so now it comes to the composition. There are a couple of rules which you have to keep in mind. So let me get everything out of the frame. So this is the frame, what we have. So there's something called an edge flicker. So edge flicker is any subject which goes directly into the edge, right? And it's a very high contrast subject. So let me put an example where right now like that, right? So this subject is a very high contrast, lots of details, but it is too close to the frame edge, as you can see there, right? So this is called the edge flicker, means that your eyes are flickering right at the edge where it is not supposed to go beyond the frame, right? There are some cases where you want the eyes to go beyond the frame, but this is not the case. And the second thing is that the more closer you get to the edge flicker, you'll see another effect called the tangents. So the tangent is another effect which you can see. I'll point it out. This line where you'll go, and then the dome starts and it ends up here. So what it is there that if you don't do the proper lighting or do the job of painting it well, it feels as if this line is piercing here and coming out of here. So this is called a tangent effect. I'll show you more example of what the tangent effects are. So tangent effect, downside of tangent effect, it makes the artwork flat. So viewer, when I'm looking at a photograph, for example, if there's another object, for example, here, right, I will not know whether this edge is closer to the camera or this edge is close to camera. So it creates a little bit of confusion. So people have to look at carefully and then later on figure, oh, this is a vase or something of that sort, which is probably unforward. And I rely on my other geometries like shadows, details, and everything too. So if I were to use it, I would put it a little farther away from the edge. That's the edge flicker. So that takes away the edge flicker. So as you can see, the light is popping from here. It's coming down. It's illuminating beautifully up here. It creates a beautiful shadow. The tangent, which is right up here, is not right at where this line is starting. So it's probably somewhere here. I avoided the tangent here. This line is not coming on the other side. So I figures out that, yeah, this is the cloth which somebody has put it, and this is the subject. So, and there is enough gap breathing room for one of this subject. So I would avoid something called an edge flicker and something like a tangent. So when you start placing the subjects, we usually try to put that one dominant subject always. It's not a rule, but it's about rule of thirds or something like a geometric center. So I'll start putting this one, for example. Let's say if I cut the frame into 3 parts, one part is here, second part is here, third part is here, right? So, and then vertically also one part is here, the second part is here. So if I'll put my subject such a way that the focal point goes to about 1/3 the distance from any side. So I'll give a simple example. Let's say I put it here. It's not the perfect position right now, but I'm saying that if I put it here, this is about 1/3 the distance from the frame end, right? And about 1/3 the distance from the top is probably, this is creating tangent. So, right. So it's about from here. If this were to be a dominant subject, I will create an opposite side effect of creating dead space around it, right? So this is called the negative space in any artwork to begin with. So when I start placing the subject for the composition, I will pick up my story first, and then I will make sure that the space facing out of the main frame will be a negative space, something like which is open, right? So openness gives this one dominance. There is nobody else competing with this guy. So let me put a little bigger one. She had a Ganesh here. Yeah. So yeah, maybe a little too small. So let's make it.
You can put it on this box if you want.
Let me take this one. This is a good
I
example.
have a candle standing in this down back.
Mhm.
That's a yellow. Oh, in that bush, in that bush.
Yeah, this one. Oh, you had a lot of silverware, right?
Yeah.
That also show up. Really.
We have this too.
Okay. So My apologies for not picking up the subjects properly today. But this is a very good example of picking up. Let me take the cloth off from here. And this will emphasize the results even more. Maybe throw in there. This is just to emphasize this example. Actually, this is creating long shadow. So as you can see, I placed the subject where the negative space is dominated by the space which is somewhere here, right? So I avoided the tangent, so this line is not trying to intercept this one. So I have a edge which is really far away from the subject. So if this were to be a little taller, for example, of this height, then it covers from 1/3 to this one 1/3 here, right? So this is my dominant subject. Something like this height would be my dominant subject. So from there, I start building the geometry. So from there, I start building the geometry. So the geometry has to be a closed geometry. Yes, that'll work. Yeah, this is a perfect example. Okay. If there was a candle, for example, here, the top of the candle comes somewhere here, right? So it's not creating any tangent, it's not edge flickering here, and it's 1/3 thing. So 1/3 rule is not a, it's a really good. I just tilted it so that you can see the thing properly. So so it has enough room for it to cast shadows. So I'll start off from here, and I'll start creating geometries from this place onwards. Having lots of negative space here, I'll start creating geometries from here. So geometries could be triangles, kind of a zigzag, maybe a rhombus or a pentagon or something like that, where it gives a closure for the eyes, right? So it could be another subject of this kind, for example, right? So what I did was that I brought the attention from this one, which is the dominant subject, down to somebody who is really very, very low, right? So now I will probably place something which is, this is an odd subject, but this is just to break the monotonicity of the subject choices, right? See, with 3, I could already create something which is, should I have some spoons or something?
This much, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Let me get that one. So it has a different, yeah, this is also a good one. Yeah, so I'll start creating the geometries which are one step at a time, and then place them back and forth such a way that the eyes goes forward and backwards. If there is an interesting composition. So, and also keep in mind that if you separate the subjects out without them touching it, again, the tangential problem creates. So I'll give you an example of what it is. So let's key that I make this on a tangent.
The tangential problem.
Okay, so the tangential problem is that I'll give you an example right up here. So I pushed and pulled the subjects right now, right? So let me get a pen or something to pull. No, I need a pen to point out that tangent. So
Maybe take one of the 4 from this one.
yeah. Okay, that's really good. Thank you. So as you can see, I pushed and pulled a lot of subjects here, right? So if I keep everything separate, let's say I separate them out, no two subjects are touching each other, right? So now we all know that we pushed and pulled different subjects, everybody is separate. This guy doesn't have any shared edges with this guy. This guy doesn't have anything. Everything is far different, right? So in Gestalt's theory of psychology, one of the thing is that we see the world as a whole, not as parts, right? The moment you separate the subjects out, it feels that every subject is different, right? You didn't create an unison in your composition, right? It may be a technique, but usually in the nature, it doesn't exist that way. So you need to have some kind of a closed shape around your subject, right? So that one of the trick would be that we overlap. Slightly, right? So
To create the unity in the.
yes, unity in the act here, right? So now the thing flows up here, comes forward, goes backwards, and there's something else here, for example, then there's some petals here, some other oranges peels here, banana peel here, something else is going on, right? So everything goes around and comes back. So people look at it and as if it's a single structure. Now, there's one downside to this kind of arrangement is that you need to avoid the tangents here again. So what are tangents? So let me create some tangents for you. So okay, so I created a couple of tangents right now. So what is the first tangent is that the handle, is it for this object or pomegranate? Because this edge is right touching pomegranate right at this point. So tangent is this curve meets this curve here, right? So for an eye, it creates a confusion that does pomegranate really have a hand? So kind of thing. Sometimes it also happens that if you arrange many things behind, it might feel as if somebody is sitting on top of this one. So there was some example where, there's a small figure in here, and there is an elephant, for example, sitting on something else, and that line touches the figure's top, for example. It feels as if the figurine is holding the elephant on top, right? So give another example. Right. The one which is hiding behind has this edge coinciding. So we cannot know what's happening to this subject versus this subject. So, and on top of it, let's say that I put some kind of a thing like this. This is a wrong example, but now it feels that there is no difference between this guy and this guy. Is it sitting right on top of here or here? We don't know. So this gap between the distance between this onion and this one is lost unless you change your light differently, for example, this way, right? Where I created the highlight right on the onion, right? So this kind of pulled forward, and then this also pulled forward, but whereas the shadow, which is right now casting slightly on this side of the onion, is now pushing this back. So if you were to hold this up, we do not know what's happening to this structure and this one. So this is a typical tangent. So the one way to solve the problem is to completely or partially overlap them. Right. So if I have so now what happens if you happen to see this one? Yeah. So now you can see that this edge is not overlapping. This onion is forward than this one, and this one is the one which separates, because this is the shadow of this object, which is not in the same plane as the shadow of this object. So it creates a zigzag pattern where it's coming from here to here, here, back, and then front, right? So the subjects are here a bad example to emphasize the point. So I didn't want to create a best scenario of the subjects here, but wanted to create a wrong example so that the point is taken, right? So this is and also keep in mind that the way I arrange right now is that the subject tallest point is here, everything else falls off, right? So that unison is also broken down because there is one way of flow here, right? So we need to counteract this one with another object, for example, right? So, and then pushing this one back or probably forward or something else to do so that so now, having said this one, now what I'll have is that there is no edge flicker here. I have found two. This is a dominant one, non-dominant one. The rest of them all add life to this composition, but they don't dominate the primary and the secondary one. Now, at this point of time, I'll switch gear before I add more things to see what is the effect of light on this composition. So with the light switch is held up this way, I will turn on second one. So this is the second light, which is similar to what Janki is holding. Okay, this is the same one. And this light technique is called the top light. Top light technique is where it creates, the purpose of that top light create is to create strong shadows, meaning that the dark is the darkest one and the bright is the brightest one. So here I would change the direction of it. For example, I'll go around it, take multiple photographs so that I would know exactly. So I'm seeing that the highlights are getting blown right now. So these are the points where the highlights are getting blown. I'll point that one. So there is a highlight here, which shows that the information in this part is lost. And there is some highlight here. For example, the information is lost here, right? So there's some reflection of this one here. I need to tap down, increase or decrease these reflections and make it more interesting. For example, this way. So this orange now casts a beautiful shadow up here, a reflection up here. And also there is also a little bit of this light coming on this one here, right? Reflective surfaces. I'm sorry?
I thought if he wants to see what's happening, this has been holding.
Yeah, she's looking at it.
Are you looking at it?
Yeah.
You can turn it around if you want.
Yeah.
You want me to-
Yeah, I was looking at it, right? I didn't realize you were looking at it. I didn't want
So
to see it.
the purpose now at this point of time would be to create as many reflections and as many strong shadows and strong highlights as possible before we tone down the light, right? And this time also, this.
Maybe another 8 minutes.
Yeah, I'll wind down.
Okay, and we didn't see the
Any questions?
reflective surface. We
Okay.
wanted to see. Means any glassy metallic or.
So the one reflection which I pointed out is this one. See the orange reflection, what you see here
Ah.
is this one. So you will not see that reflection until you hold your light in the proper direction.
Ah.
So I would encourage you to go around with your lights such a way that, yeah, at this point, it heightens up, right? And also create more of a directional sense for the present. So it creates a kind of an ambience feeling. So if she's holding a light like this, for example, I would also try to turn it to go towards the background a little bit. So now what happens is that this light is actually illuminating this one, and light from there it's coming back here and creating a little bit of foreground elements as well, right? So this is called the rim light. So I think Saikat could appreciate this one well, that there's a light which is coming from here, falling and illuminating all the rim of every subject, right? So at this time, I would stop arranging and try to get every individual subject's characteristics, right? So I would enhance this one, for example, make sure that, yeah, whichever looks great for it. It should not be very obvious that reflection is there, but it should be a subtle information that you are adding character to the subject. For example, now, if you see, the highlights are stored well. If you see every subject's bottom here, it's darkest dark, right? Yes, so the second light is actually, and you can also do is that you can change the color of this one. So there is a knob which changes the color, right? So with this one, what happens that you can know what the saturation, the color you want to put, what is the your pigment saturation for strange colors like this, for example, right? Onions are good examples to cut onions as well, are good examples to see how to saturate a mix of your reds and blues there, right? So for that one, you need to see it in two different colors, right? So you can also change something in the middle, for example. So this will saturate all the yellows, and this will saturate all the blues. So you can, not that you would take one picture and derive all these things in one from picture. You cannot do it, right? So your artistic mind will kick in and say, this is the way I do it in Photoshop, right? I'll change the filter to such that it becomes orange like this. Oops, sorry. Kind of warm light. So that amplifies all things which are yellowish things. So, and then I'll go on the blue side. So your phone does, the iPhone or the Android phone does best color reproduction when it is turned towards slightly blue, which is this setting on the right side. So can you show me this one here? Point here. So there are a couple of knobs here. So this is for the intensity and this is for the temperature of the color. So this one, when it turned to 5500 Kelvin, iPhone never misses the color at that point. So if you're doing, let's say, henna, for example, right? You want to use this light at 5500 Kelvin. So it means that your henna colors will pop out really well. Your skin tones will be really nice. So if you use a normal light, it becomes pale yellowish, kind of a not healthy skin, for example, something's wrong. It gives a feeling. And also internet protocols for Facebook or anything doesn't mess up the 5500 Kelvin. They mess up either warmish tones or very bluish tones, but they never mess up this middle one. So it may be a good technique. Yeah, that's this knob here if you buy this one. So yeah, so I would turn on this one.
Both are of the same type, right? Or
Yeah, both are of the same time. Yes. Both are the same time. So this also gives you a control on the intensity. Okay, the last point I want to make is that let's ask Janki to hold it back in the same place as tilting. Yeah, thank you. So now you already noted the blackest blacks and then brightest brights here, right? So these are the brightest brights. So you did note down that there's a sheen on this one. The sheens are very, very important, right? So the sheen on this one, sheen on the lemon. So sometimes for fashion bags, for example, I usually take my coconut oil, make it really thin, and kind of rub it on it a little bit, not too much. So it kind of extra sheens on top of it. So I would also do it for some of the places where I want it to be showing, right? So that's there's nothing wrong in making them shine. So so especially the oranges, lemons, and onions take really very well. And the next one, the last one thing I will do before I close on the composition, after watching the geometry, making sure that tangents are not a problem. There's a unison in the shapes and everything. I will take the white paper. Sorry, your hands are aching. I know somebody else could have. Because I'm done with that. So 5 more minutes. So I'll take a white paper like this. So the idea now is to get the midtones, right? The midtones give you the value change from not so dark to the highlight, right? So that's very, very important in terms of getting the details in your composition, right? So now if you happen to see, details tend to get lost here, right? Details tend to get lost here. So we need to recover those details and then details up here, details on this one, details here, and then this rim light here. So all details are important. So I will throw in a diffuser light on top of it. Okay, thank you. So now what happened, it kind of dimmed it down. Maybe I'll throw in another one if I need to be. The iPhones are notorious for adjusting the light for it. So what you need to do is that before you do this one, you need to tap on your iPhone middle and then ask him to hold the exposure. So the way you do it is that you tap on the middle of the frame and hold it for 3 seconds. So that kind of stops it from changing the exposure right now. So now you can see that, or maybe add another second one. Yeah. A little smaller paper. Yeah. Throw in from the bottom. Yeah, throw in from the bottom. Yeah, throw in. So the way he's on somebody else, probably. Okay, let me let me back up a little bit the way they're holding, and then you'll be able to appreciate it. So I'm going to disturb the composition just to show you how people are holding it.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Is it okay?
Yeah, anyway.
Okay. Okay. Great. So I'm going to come back here. Thank you. So now, if you happen to bring it closer, now it eliminates, it took away the highlights from here. It took away the little bit of highlight from here. It eliminated this part here. There's more of information on the rings the onion, for example. There's more information on here. If there's a carving or something here, it will get really very highlighted. So that's the purpose of it. And also here, where it's glittering a lot, right? So I would use, and this is not the perfect setting, but I would use different angles too. And on top of this one, I would ask another one, so you can remove this one and throw in a. Typically at the end, I'll throw in a blue paper. So this blue paper is usually from the top. So somebody.
Yeah, I'm still wondering, how do you use it when you're doing by yourself?
So I have a couple of boards which are standing right up here like this, and then I put them right on top of this way.
Huh.
So and then put the clips here or tapes.
Yeah, so that's for the paper, for the light.
Oh, the lights I have stands there. So I'll show you. So the lights for the light. So let somebody.
Oh.
Oh, that's so nice.
So let's bring it out.
Show that.
Yeah, I'll show you that way. So the question is that if you're alone and you're trying to do this kind of a work, how will you put those lights? So this one comes, you can buy a stand or you can ask your kid to hold it, but I would.
So this is available as part of this light set?
Yes, it is part of the light. And you can also buy this one for $15 each. So it's not very expensive. You know, so these are, so, and you can also change the angle of it.
Oh.
Yeah, so you can lock it up. And also it works to eliminate the background, for example, if you decide to do this way. It also holds this way. So.
Where do you buy the lights from?
Huh?
Where do you buy the lights from?
So I'll send you the SKU for this one, SKU for this one. But I bought it from Amazon. So I'll give you the model and then the.
How expensive is it?
This together is probably about $40.
Oh, that.
Yeah, it comes with a rechargeable battery.
Oh.
This lasts for about 1 year or so. So, but you on the other hand, you also have power cables like this.
Oh, okay.
So you can always, if you run out of the battery, you can always plug in here.
Oh,
So
okay.
you can plug this one up here, and then there's a converter cable here. So I prefer to use a charged one. I don't trip on these guys. So
I think next month, artist of the month, only photography.
Yeah, let's all.
yeah, it's a good idea to take lots of pictures. It's a good exercise. So I'll wind up by summarizing what we talked about.
However, all said and done, it is a strong bull market.
Is there any question from me before I wind down?
Sriharsha, so what is the focal point here?
Thank you very much for that.
So,
Oh, yeah. So the focal point would be wherever your dominant subject is looking at. Right. So if I were to have a composition, something like this, for example, right? It's not the best one, but if I happen to have a composition which is at here, so my question now goes to see that why is that there is two light candles here, which are two dominant points, right? Everything else is wrapped around here, right? So my focal point certainly goes to the dominant subject. You see that that's a light candle, and somebody has placed it on the decorative table, and this is how they leave, right? So I hesitate to say this one, that this one doesn't have one dominant focal point. So the reason is that it doesn't have a story behind it, right? So I do not know what this represents to me. I just build it up right up here. But if you happen to have a story behind it, that becomes a focal point. And then let's say that this is the Navaratri time, right? So if the light were to be your focal point, then I will throw in another light here. I would throw in another, which is shining object somewhere there. So the whole unison becomes the focal point. So I don't know whether I answered the question or not, but here I cannot find one single focal point to say, right? It's a demonstration to say that I plugged in many different subjects which are not related to each other, but I still created something which is technically appealing to me. So I created shadows, I created highlights. I didn't make any mistake of confusing the viewer for its geometry. So that's the purpose of this one. So the focal point is always a conceptual story behind the art. So it's never a physical subject. So to me, at least. So yeah, here it doesn't have any story behind it. So I do not know.
Okay. Good. So yeah, we have 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So we can.
Sriharsha,
Yes.
yeah, do I have the permission of copyright of this composition?
Oh yeah, you bet. Yeah, you bet.
It's so beautiful.
So,
Today, same painting next month.
So
She's seeing another.
it's a good idea to invest on a few tens of dollars, and then I made sure that I used my expenses didn't exceed about $60 in this whole thing. So
Oh, it's okay, right?
Yeah.
This
this is $1. There are 4 of them,
Oh,
and the other one, this is $40.
oh.
And then, yeah, apart from that, I borrowed all the props
No,
from
you
your.
didn't use the stand.
No, I didn't use the stand. I borrowed all the props from you guys. So
Oh, yes.
I didn't put any money in that.
Okay.
So that was the idea behind something DIY, and you can
Okay.
do lots of value.
Can you place
Yeah. See, that's a good one.
this
All
guys
this,
Yeah.
together
And have one.
and have one?
Yeah, that's a beautiful. Yeah, probably should have done it earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me take this out. So here there is a story. So I think Anandi was asking about, Janki was asking about,
Anandi has
about,
been asking about focal point all the
Acha,
time, so
okay. I thought he.
right? So what is the story behind it, right? So this guy sits in the kitchen, right?
Yeah.
And he is the,
Do you need the lemon?
actually, yeah, you could put the lemon. You could put the silver salts out. It belongs to there. Yeah. So the interesting story about is that the kitchen is never, or at least in my house, so never so much organized that it will look, exactly, idealistic kitchen, right? So what you will have is that you will have garlics for example, onion stings flying out, for example, this way, right? And then garlic is half open, but not completely open, for example, this way, right? And then let me see. You have to crop this composition a little better. So, and then one of the spoon is not in the container, right? So all it does is that it gives character and the story to it. So the story, the focal point is obviously the person who is making the menu, right? And then just like the way I cook, it's a little bit messy, it's haphazard, but it gives a character about the intention of the person and then the motivation of the person, right? So you can add, yeah. Make sure that one last thing is that make sure that when you put something, he is grounded well, right? You need to somewhere see the person's thing grounded into the thing. So maybe push it a little bit on the other side. So something like that, open it up and then bring closer to the, the shape. There's a unison here, for example. So, and then you'll see the menu, which is being cast this way. So, yeah, something like that, right? So that when he's saying that he's opening his hands out, and then I would throw in some banana peel so that I don't feel bad about it. So something like that. So,
Very
and I would
beautiful.
also change the angle of the light so that I would eliminate the persons from the top. That's called the butterfly lighting. So there's a little shadow under the mustache and then chin and everything. So this is called the butterfly lighting. And then I would use another lighting, which is probably at the side to create a kind of a
Shadow.
yeah, shadow.
Shadow.
Yes. So I would use two lights in this case. One is the top light, which creates lots of character around mouth, eyes, and all these places here. And then another one, which is directional. So something like
I can hold
This.
something like that, right? So you can create some magic. So, yeah, that's the top light. And then yeah, so we'll
Beautiful.
stop now.
Very beautiful.
Thank you very much. And I think if
Very
there are any
beautiful.
questions, I can still take it on the messenger team. So I'm your team.
Yeah,
So
sure.
I'm part of your argument.
Yes.
You can always sub me.
It's an
Thank you. Great
Yeah,
demo.
it's an awesome demo, Sriharsha.
Thank you. Yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely excellent. Loved it.
thank you.
Okay, thank you very much,
Amazing, thank
Sriharsha.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very nice. I think
Oh, it was
give a
fabulous.
better, like we
Awesome
didn't expect
demo.
it so much.
This is what we wanted to learn from long
Yes.
time.
Glad you
It was so good.
So many terms also we don't know, right? We do,
Exactly.
but we don't know the terms. So it is.
And
Thank you.
main topic
Thank
is
you.